Hi, my name is Amber. Welcome back to my channel, Books and Beaches. So it is finally time to talk about my favorite, best, top books of 2024. I always like to wait until the year is over just to make sure that if I happen to read, the best book of the year in the last week of the year, especially because I do have off, I want to make sure to give myself the time to do that. Now, this year I actually didn't need that because I am considering the year of 2024, the year of 4-star reviews. I seemingly gave a lot of things 4 stars, but not a lot of things 5 stars. And so I can't tell if I am just getting pickier with what I am rating books or if it was just kind of a meh so year. And 4 stars is not a bad review by any means. And actually 3 stars for me isn't bad either. I think I just am really starting to figure out what a 5-star book truly means to me. So I was going to limit this list to 10 books, but it turns out I actually only rated 10 books in 2024 5 stars. So it worked out quite perfect. These are all the books I gave 5 stars this year. And so they will all be the top books of my year. So let's go ahead and jump in and get started. Now, I have obviously talked about all of these on my channel because at some point they would have been in either a monthly review or a wrap up or, some sort of vlog that I did. But I'll give you a little bit of a synopsis. I'm going to be including pictures of all of these because I think most of my copies are out on loan somewhere. So the first of which was All the Cers Bleed by S.A. Cosby. And I do have my computer down here with me, just in case you're wondering what I'm looking at. But I wanted to make sure I remembered all of these. This book, and S.A. Cosby in general, I think just tends to blow me away in the amount of things that he can include in a book, the voice and characters that we get, and just sometimes the violence. But this one basically focused around a serial killer that, keeps showing up in this southern town. And I believe this one was the first Black sheriff that this town has ever had. I love that S.A. Cosby features, that type of character in his books, or that, diversity in his books. And it starts off with a school shooting. I mean, you have to be okay with that trigger warning right there. And they are pretty graphic, but he does such a good job at keeping you entertained. And I always recommend S.A. Cosby on audio. I will make sure I link below the audio narrator that he always uses, but it's just such a great book to listen to. So by far, easy 5 stars for me, and it was so good. After that, and this one is not a controversial pick by any means, but I think this book is a hit or miss for a lot of people, but I ended up giving it 5 stars, and this was The Heiress by Rachel Hawkins. Now, I believe I had an arc of this from NetGalley, but I really liked it. We have a woman named Ruby McTavish, Callahan, Woodford, Miller, Kenmore. Had to look that one up. And when she dies, she leaves her estate, and everything that comes along with it to her adoptive son. And the rest of the family isn't so pleased with that. And you're going back and forth, seeing what is happening in this current timeline of them, kind of taking over this estate, as well as the different timelines of, I believe, if I look on here correctly, I think she had like 4 different husbands. So it gave me slightly, Evelyn Hugo vibes, but with also that sense of mystery, and there's murder going on and you don't know what's happening. And so I really enjoyed this one. I think I read it really early last year, 2024. And so I remember really enjoying it. I know not everybody feels the same way, but for me, it was great. After that, another book that I have a little bit learned is quite hit or miss for some people, and that was They Never Learn by Lane Fargo. I love this book. This was my first experience with Lane Fargo. This was on recommendation, I believe, from Andrea Chapter and Converse. Dark academia, I loved the setting. It was so great. And we're featuring a professor at this college who also is getting away with murder. And it's one of those that I kind of just want to leave it at that. You've got to go into it not knowing too much. I think that's the best thing about thrillers. I say that all the time, but I absolutely love this one, even though I know it's not everybody's favorite. For me, it was definitely a 5-star. After that, we have, to no surprise, actually, this might be a surprise. Well, it won't be a surprise because you already know about this, but I had Fourth Wing as a 5-star. Now, I was very, very hesitant to read Fourth Wing. I actually ended up having to read it for my in-person book club. And I was like, oh, I just don't know if this is going to be my thing. Now, granted, we all know I love Harry Potter. I told some students today, I love Harry Potter enough to, put the Harry Potter stars on my wrist. But I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about Fourth Wing. And I ended up really enjoying my experience. Now, this is another one I would highly, highly recommend on audio because with fantasy for me, trying to make up those names in my head would just be like, blah, blah, blah. So it was great on audio. I know I need to pick up the second one, Iron Flame, because the third one, Onyx Storm, comes out at the end of this month, or middle of this month, I should say. But I just haven't done it yet because, I mean, they are daunting books to pick up, but I love being immersed in that world, and it kind of gave me Harry Potter mixed with like Game of Thrones vibes. So to me, I really like it. And I mean, who doesn't love a snarky dragon? So there was that one. Let's see, after that, and most of these are in the order that I read them. So we have, and I am really, 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 really trying not to pick favorites, but this would probably be my favorite book of the year, and it's the book that I cannot stop talking about, and I will probably reread in 2025, and that is The Women by Kristen Hanna. Is this book fantastic? I actually just got this copy back from a coworker of mine today. She just finished it. We featured actually our whole Veterans Day presentation off of this book because this is based on female nurses in Vietnam and their experience while they were in Vietnam, and then specifically focusing on one, and then when she comes home. And this was the first book in a very long time, and I think the only book last year that when I finished it, I immediately wanted to start it again. It was just that good. And another one that is fantastic on audio because it's Julia Whelan. And you've heard me talk about Julia Whelan if you've been around here before. I love Julia Whelan's narration. And so, yes, if I probably had to pick a favorite of the favorites, this one would be it. So you've heard me gush about this one enough this year. This should come as no surprise. After that, I have The Teacher by Frida McFadden. Once again, another book that is probably slightly controversial. I know some people just did not like this book at all, and it is so hard for me to say that I liked this book because this book is based off of a student and teacher relationship. It's a high school teacher having a relationship with a student, and then also his wife is involved because she is very skeptical of what's going on. And this book, in true Frida McFadden fashion, is very twisty, lots of turns. The ending will leave you just utterly shocked. But I know people are uncomfortable with the actual content of the book. And so I'm not saying I'm comfortable with that. I mean, as someone that works in education, absolutely not. But I have to take, the literature for what it is. And I really enjoyed it. I gave it a 5. So there's that one. After that, I have 2 books that I read for middle grade March. And so I never actually imagined that 2 of my middle grade March books would make it on my favorites of the year, but they are too good not to talk about. And I know one I already talked about in my underrated books of 2024, and that is The Lost Year by Catherine Marsh. I love this book. I believe this was a recommendation from Krista at Books and Jams, but this is based on, I just want to make sure I'm getting the years right. Families dealing with the terrible famine that devastated the Soviet Ukraine in the 1930s. So you're getting 2 different timelines within the 1930s, but you're also getting a timeline of, I believe, Matthew. And he is present day, getting these stories from his great-grandmother, and it's during COVID time. And I feel like, we're a little bit far enough away now to kind of be able to read that. And it was just phenomenal. It was a time in history I didn't know a lot about. And so I just really enjoyed it. And I think, and I believe I said this in my underrated, middle grade is such an approachable place to, get that information. And I just really, really enjoyed it. And then the other middle grade one that I also gave 5 stars. So like I said, two middle grades popping in here was Sweep, and this is by Jonathan Auxier. I believe this was a recommendation from Katie. And of course I can't think of her channel name right. I think it's Life Between Words. I'll make sure to link her down below. I know she hasn't put content out in a while, but she is a host of Middle Grade March, and I love this one. This was another one I listened to on audio. It is about a girl who works as a chimney sweep, and this is very, very popular. I'm just trying to make sure I get the timing right. I don't even know if I have the exact timeline, but it would have been, you know, more along the times when chimney sweeps were very, very popular. And a lot of times they were children because they could fit in these small spaces. Now this one veers on the fantasy side because she has this character named this Sweep who, you know, is developed from the ash of the chimneys that she's cleaning. But it is so heartfelt and so touching, and the things that they go through together, and what I'm sure was a really hard time to grow up like that, you know. And she talks about being stuck in a chimney at one point. Ugh, claustrophobia, be warned. But just a super, super sweet story, and it definitely was well worth the 5-star rating. So after that, I have one that I just remember putting this book down and being like, wow, like, and it's because it was a thriller that I loved the twists and turns that it took us throughout the whole thing. And I think this is another one that it's hit or miss for people, but for me, it really worked. And that was Darling Girls by Sally Hepworth. Now, I believe I had my copy through Book of the Month, but we had 3 girls who grew up together in like a group home under the care of, I think, for some reason, Miss Abersham is coming, but that's from Annie. Oh, Miss Fairchild, there we go. And you just see the horrible, horrible treatment that they are put through. And we're told in, you know, multiple timelines where we are getting their current day because they are being called back to this house for an investigation that's going on. Also paired with chapters that are being told from the perspective of when they were growing up there. And I love a multiple perspective book. I love a multiple timeline book. And this was another one that the ending really got me. And I think that's what it pushed over to a 5-star for me. I try not to, I guess, to figure out books while I'm reading them. I mean, sometimes they're obvious, but this is one that I just did not see it coming, and I absolutely loved. So it definitely made the top books of 2024 because it was a 5-star. So, and then finally, one book that I read this summer, because I am pretty sure the last time I gave a book a 5-star was this summer. Like I said, it was the book or the year of 4-star ratings, and this was Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. Oh, I loved this book. I told so many people, like, this is the story of my life, although I have yet to find my main character. Now I'm trying to think of what his name is. Justin. I have yet to find my Justin, but we have our 2 main characters here that both basically say, like, someone dates them. They are like the good luck Chucks, and the minute they date them, they go on to meet their person after that. And I have always said that about my dating life, so this story like called for me. I think it was funny. I'm pretty sure even after my mom finished reading it, she was like, this sounds like you. So, but Justin is such a sweet character. I wish I could find somebody that plans dates like he does. I loved, you know, the family drama / trauma that we've had they have in this book, and that they discuss. These people talk about things like real adults. I hear so many people saying that, like, that's what they struggle with. Like, why can't you just talk to each other? And these main characters do. And Abby Jimenez writes such great, not only relationships in her books, but talks about, you know, different topics that people struggle with, and does it so well in her books. And so this one was an easy 5-star with me. And I've not given everything of hers 5 stars, but this one was above and beyond a 5-star for me. So those are all of the books that I gave 5 stars in the year 2024, which makes them the best books of the year for me. What were some of the best books that you read in 2024? Or, you know, the last book you gave 5 stars? I'm always looking for new suggestions. Feel free to let me know in the comments below. As always, if you like this video, feel free to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.